Imagine a world where more women had the time to fully explore their genius. Welcome to She Rebel Radio, a community-driven podcast dedicated to supporting women leaders to unlearn conventional rules and create their businesses of significance. This is our International Women's Day Inspire series with our headline partners, NatWest. NatWest has been a pioneer in supporting women in business since 2019. We have 10 new guests sharing their stories with you to inspire, to educate, and to empower. As you navigate this series with us, I'd love for you to consider, what is inspiring you for 2024? How do you personally make it work as a woman in business? And what change would you make to your industry to inspire more inclusion of women? My name's Lulu Mins. I host retreats and create spaces for women leaders to explore their genius. And today, I'm going to create that same space right here for you on this podcast. Welcome to episode 132 of She Rebel Radio, inspiring your palate with Nadia Hamilla. Nadia is the founder of Amboora, the UK's ultimate destination for Moroccan spices, curating aromatic North African products that promise to take you on a culinary journey, delivering powerful flavours to your palate. Nadia is a London-born foodie of Moroccan and Tunisian descent, and she loves nothing more than to share new flavours and culinary secrets with her customers, all unearthed from her rich cultural heritage. Amboora is named after Nadia's daughter Amber and translates the magic from Nadia's childhood visits to Morocco and mirrors the passing down of family traditions as she treasures the beauty and richness of Moroccan culture. Amboora has also evolved to an inclusive educational community platform where you can download recipes and learn the secrets from the Moroccan kitchens and traditions. Morocco is a place that's close to my heart, having held my first retreat there in 2017. Nadia, it's great to have you here. How are you doing?
I'm good, thank you. Thank you for having me on your podcast. It's a pleasure being here.
It's amazing to have you. And I'd love to start with, what are some of your earliest memories of visiting Morocco as a child? Where did you go and what inspired you?
As a child visiting Morocco, I used to go visit family in Tangiers, which is right at the very north of Morocco, opposite Spain. And visiting my grandmother, my granddad, my great-grandmother, and, it's where the family would come together because I've got cousins in other European countries come together to hold family occasions, to visit, to catch up, etc.
Yeah, amazing. And your great grandparents lived in Morocco?
Yes, both great grandparents and grandparents.
Yeah, lovely. And you, with Amboora, you take people on a journey of learning, sharing, and eating delicious food from Morocco. Why can anyone be inspired by the rich cultural heritage that Morocco has to offer?
I mean, Morocco has got a really rich heritage and a cultural heritage together with that, because obviously we've got different traditions, amazing architecture, arts, crafts. People don't realize it's got like a rich literary and poetic tradition. It's of religious significance for certain religious community, whether it's, Muslim, Jewish, Christianity, music, dance, and it's a crossroad of civilizations, because if you see the geographical location of Morocco being right at the north of Africa, it's one of the closest points to Europe. So, the history around that, and obviously being at the mouth of the Mediterranean, you can imagine how many people and how many civilizations passed through Morocco.
Yeah. And it surprises a lot of people, doesn't it, who are
Yeah.
traveling from Britain, that Morocco is only 4 hours away and there's no time difference either.
There's no time difference. And I think Morocco is one of those countries that it's the nearest place to the UK within, 3-4 hours, depending on where you're going, that you can really get a good culture shock.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. And what do the younger generations in Morocco learn about food? And what is the tradition of Moroccan mothers and families when it comes to food? As you said, both your great grandparents and grandparents lived there.
Yeah, so I mean, as a child and, together with my cousins and family and even other people that I know, the traditions of us learning about Moroccan food is, in the kitchen, being with my grandmother, who's, was always at home, God rest her soul, was, sitting in with her, and she, because we had to like peel the peas or peel the board beans or, clean the lentils, and, she would get all of us to do tasks with her. And it was learning, how to do the preparation and the significance of certain meals in terms of traditions. And together with that, you learn the art of preparation, the significance of certain meals, and the seasons of certain ingredients as well.
Yeah, so eating certain foods at certain times of the year being of
Yes.
importance.
Yeah. So we, that quince, for example, which isn't like a common ingredient here in the UK, it comes just a certain time of year, certain other vegetables as well. And you look forward to those seasons that, oh, I fancy a tagine with this or a tagine with that ingredients, because it's that, seasonality that, we don't really get much here. But I do remember that as a child, I know that if I go in Morocco in the summer, the fruit that, we will get there is amazing.
Yeah, and do you feel that we need more of that here and that we get more taste with food if it's actually in season?
Yes, I do agree with that. I agree that, I can see that with carrots, certain basic and, everyday ingredients such as carrots, some potatoes, etc., that I can taste the difference of when it's more in season than out of season, especially when you're traveling between like Morocco and the UK. The difference is absolutely exceptional.
Yeah, no, it is. I keep saying to people I refuse to eat cucumber in the UK at certain times of year because it just tastes like nothing.
Nothing, yeah.
Yeah,
Water.
absolutely. And is it predominantly women and, mothers and grandmothers that pass down these traditions?
Yes, I mean, less so now. I mean, it's still more women dominant in Morocco, but there are more men going into the kitchen in Morocco, today. And, cousins and family members know that the male know how to cook, whereas before, like very few men knew how to cook unless they were like chefs in a restaurant or they were working in the food industry. But the transmission was definitely between, mother and daughter.
Yeah, okay. And how do you translate the traditions, the inheritances of Morocco and the essence of all of that into Amboora? And tell us more about the name Amboora too.
Yeah, so that, I'm glad you asked that question, because obviously the reason I started Amboora was, well, the reason I named Amboora was because after my daughter, Amber. So after I had my daughter, there was because she's second generation British born, and, thinking of ways, how can I keep like her heritage alive? How can I make sure she doesn't go to Morocco and says, I don't understand this, I don't know what the food is about, I don't like the food. And that was kind of like a fear of mine, because we've got such a rich, beautiful culture and heritage with beautiful values, that I just wanted her to be proud of that. So that's one of the reasons I created Amboora, was because I wanted to keep those traditions alive. And that's how I translate those through the company Amboora, is because I think of how can I tell my daughter about these values or these traditions or this information. If I'm teaching my daughter, I can teach the world, the wider world.
Yeah, I love that as a real basis and, heart-based reason for your business is kind of extending that knowledge, firstly and foremostly to your daughter, but then actually you can unfold that to the rest of the world as well.
Amazing.
Why did you create a community platform for education, community, and recipes?
So I created the platform. So when I created the business, I didn't want it solely to be a food business, because I think, it's easy to make a tagine sauce, it's easy to make a harissa and just sell it. And I just think that Morocco and North Africa in general is like a undiscovered and untapped territory. And it's, I love Morocco, I love Tunisia. And I just wanted a way of showing that how beautiful the culture is,
Mm-hmm.
and to, dispel any myths about North Africa and the people of North Africa and the values that we have. And the only way I can do that is through building a community and through education, as well as I'm educating my daughter again. It's educating other people who, as well as, want to visit Morocco, and they have these misconceptions. They love the food, they're not sure about, visiting Morocco. Is it safe? And I just wanted to break down those barriers to say, it's a beautiful country. It's only 3 hours away. Visit it. You will not regret it.
Yeah, no, I'm definitely with you on that, and I've been twice, and it's been on my list to do more exploring outside of Marrakesh, and then obviously we had lockdown and
Yeah.
all of that. So, and I love that you said the word values twice there in terms
Yeah.
of Moroccan values,
Mm.
and kind of the secrets of Morocco, the myths of Morocco, considering it's so close to Europe. How do what kind of values can you share or do you kind of thread through Amboora? Is there anything you can share with us about that?
Yeah, I mean, I can talk about the community. I mean, when, unfortunately, like last year when, the unfortunate earthquake in Morocco, it's for us, it is imperative, like the laws of community and hospitality. Like, someone comes to your home, you feed them and you give them the best that you have at home. You do not give them, the leftovers. You give up your best to them. And that's the same with the community. If someone is in need, you help them. And I think that's what helps, to create a good working society, is by, apart being selfless, but also helping others.
Yeah, absolutely, incredibly important. One of my neighbours actually here in Brighton is from Morocco, and he definitely embodies all of those principles 100% in terms of community and helping each other and all of that. Definitely. What are some of the sacred spices of Morocco that we all need to know about?
So the sacred spices that we need to know about Morocco, I would say, you have the one spice blend, which is Ras al Hanout, which is a blend of spices that we use for cooking to add. So it's like garam masala in Indian cooking, but Ras al Hanout is the Moroccan version, which can have from like 10 to 30 spices. And Ras al Hanout means the head of the shop, meaning it's the shopkeeper's recipe. So if you go to a shopkeeper who obviously blends spices, you ask them this, can I have a blend for fish? Can I have a blend for meat, etc.? And it's their recipe. And my grandmother would send me, when I was much younger, send me to the shop and say, go to this shop and get his spice blend for this dish, basically, because that's how she wanted. But on an individual spice level, the best spices I would say are cinnamon, ginger, cumin, turmeric, and black pepper. Because if you have those in your cupboard, that will be in a typical Moroccan kitchen. But if you have those cupboard, you can make basic Moroccan meal, flavored meals.
Yeah, I love and the Moroccan version of garam masala, as you said, and please do repeat what it's called again, is with that, it's unique to each shop owner. So you would go to a specific shop because their blend was the best for something specific that you were cooking.
Yeah, so you can say Ras al Hanout, I want the blend for fish, I want the blend for chicken, I want the blend for meat. But there is kind of like a royal blend, which is one of like my signature one, which is like a royal blend, which kind of covers most dishes, and then you can just edit it like you would like an Indian cooking as well, just by adding either a bit of cinnamon or a bit of turmeric or a bit of black pepper, just to slightly amend it to kind of like the dish that you're preparing.
Yeah, lovely, lovely. What is shakshuka and how can we use that?
Okay, shakshuka is a tomato-based sauce that can be used for any meal, so breakfast, lunch, or dinner. So for breakfast, we'll have eggs and tomatoes. So it's a tomato sauce. You poach some eggs in it, and it's kind of like a very, very simple breakfast meal. Otherwise, in the evenings, we'll make like a tomato-based tagine with the sauce. So like you can fry some meatballs, some sardine or fish balls, some seafood, and you can add that in with some peas. Some, you can add feta cheese if you want to make it more appealing. and that's how we eat it. So it's like a tomato-based tagine sauce.
Yeah, yeah, beautiful. As we're getting nearer to lunchtime, it's making me hungry. And I've definitely had the eggs and tomato and shakshuka when
Yeah.
I've been over in Morocco. So definitely recommend. What kind of recipes can we find via Amboora, and what is one of your favorites?
Yeah, so you can find some basic Moroccan recipes that I enjoy cooking at home. They're quite simple to make. So they're both either traditional Moroccan or Moroccan inspired. And my favorite recipe would be a chicken tagine. That's my ultimate favorite.
Yeah, lovely. And I noticed with some of the recipes, the real simplicity is, you know, in terms of eating natural foods, and also, you know, with cost of living and things like that, is that another reason that people can dive into not overcomplicating their food, and, you know, with good spices and flavors,
Yeah.
that they can really change something quite simple.
Exactly. I mean, just with some of the spices, you can really just lift up something as simple as like a piece of fish or, some cod and put some rice on the side or couscous on the side, and you've got a really nice, delicious meal.
Yeah, yeah, lovely. Now, tagines and couscous, as you just mentioned it, are quite widely known. What else don't we know about Moroccan cooking and or the traditional Moroccan kitchen?
Mm. The thing that people don't realize about Moroccan cooking, that Moroccan food isn't just tagine and couscous. In Morocco, we have a lot of starters and what we can call cold salads or cold side dishes or warm side dishes, depending. We eat a lot of vegetable dishes. So in Morocco, when a meal is served, you would have like the main tagine, which is kind of like the star of the meal, but there's a starters or there's small little plates that will surround the table with so many like different vegetables. So the key thing about Moroccan cooking is that we are able to make like vegetables and really lift them up with just a few herbs and spices. So you have like a kaleidoscope on the table of like some cucumber with some za'atar, which is kind of like an oregano, some beetroot salad, a tomato salad, a carrot salad, and we're just able to make like a variety of dishes just from simple vegetables, and like you said, with the spices, and it just you just eat with your eyes already when you look at the table. It's those dishes that really really lift up the meal. It's not just a tagine that on its own.
Yeah, and as you say, you know, as we've said, simple food, but, you know, spiced up, making a kaleidoscope. That was a really good description. And, you know, if people are vegetarian, there's still plenty of choice.
Yeah, and that's the other misconception. People don't realize that a lot of Moroccan food dishes, apart from the main tagine, which you can cook without meat or fish, practically nearly everything else is vegan. We eat very little dairy.
What have been some of the challenges in your business journey? And what have you learnt about yourself along the way?
So I've had quite a few challenges in my business journey, from supply chain to manufacturing. But what I've learned about myself is about being more resilient and adapting. Obviously, COVID was a big part of that, where everybody pivoted, had to pivot their business, had to think on their feet. And I think it was a good time to reflect on, the strengths and weaknesses, but also to see what other people were doing and to realize that, you need to keep the passion, keep on going, the motivation, and the importance of flexibility as well.
Yeah, yeah. And as you said, they're reflecting, oh, keeping the passion. So
Mm.
going back to, was that for you, you know, going back to your why in terms of education and you know, inspiring people about the Moroccan kitchen and the food?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, the passion I've got for this business is, really, really strong. I never wanted to start a business that I wasn't passionate about, that it would keep me motivated to wake up each morning, just despite the challenges that will come my way, and that I will keep on pushing forward. And hence why I'm glad I waited this long to start Tambora, to make sure that it wasn't another, a business venture that was like, okay, I can't do this anymore. But I know that this business has got legs in it, and that's the reason I'm pushing it forward.
Yeah, and you need that to keep it's so easy to give up, isn't it? It's
Yeah.
needing that passion to go back to it and find that grit and resilience, as you've said. Now, what support have you received in your business from NatWest and perhaps elsewhere as well? And what parts of that have been really invaluable and important to you?
I mean, the support I've received from NatWest has been really valuable to me, especially the accountability and the community part. I mean, the workshops that they provide, like usually twice a month, they provide workshops on different subjects. They've been really, really good because it makes you think about your business in a different perspective. They have workshops as group accelerators with different entrepreneurs, and you sit down trying to help each other solve the problems that we're facing. So you sit down and you say, look, my problem this week is X. And then everybody will give their solution on how, or ideas or a contact. And that community spirit has been really, really helpful, especially as, like a solo entrepreneur when you're working from home and you're not in a business with different colleagues, having that community feel as well as accountability and the coaching from the mentors has been amazing.
Yeah, and you can when you're a solopreneur, you can kind of spin your own wheels, can't you, sitting at home, going around the same problem without that kind of peer-to-peer support and conversations with people that are in the arena as well.
Exactly. And, I mean, lots of people, I'm sure they'll relate to this when you're sitting at home and you see someone else's journey and you're like, oh, they're doing this or they're doing that. And you kind of need that community to say, your journey is your own journey. That's their journey. This is your journey. And you need to stop like getting distracted very easily about other people's journeys and other successes because you have your own.
Yeah, 100%, and each journey is different, and within I think it's so easy now on social media, isn't it, to look and it looks like, in inverted commas, everyone else is really successful, and that can be great and inspiring, but then sometimes if you're in the wrong mood, it can drag you down.
Definitely, yeah. Because you feel, you have negative thoughts and you're thinking, you know, I'm not, negative like thoughts about yourself and you're weak or they're strong and what they're doing better. And you kind of copycat them and you have to stay resilient in that to say, no, my long-term vision is this. These are my goals. How am I going to achieve them in my own way? This is my journey and I'll build my own journey.
Yeah, yeah, no, I think that's really important, and thank you for sharing how important it is to have your own journey and not mirroring someone else's, and I think we see a lot of that. And talking of success, what have been some of your best successes and celebrations within the business?
So my so far, I mean, my business hasn't been running for that long, but my best success obviously being listed in Selfridges and having the pop up for 2 weeks in Selfridges last year, which was amazing. Met so many different people, and the feedback I received was really able and invaluable for me to build and just tweak certain things in the business. Um, Another one was my first export order last year. So I started exporting to the EU. And yesterday, actually, I received a call, which was absolutely wonderful from a friend. He purchased some of my products as to give them as presents to people, my gift sets. And he gave one of the people that he gave the products to called back and said, oh my God, these are so good. Is there any way they could sell them?
Amazing.
Yeah, and that just put a smile on my face. I wasn't expecting that at all. But when you hear feedback like that, it just gives you such a good feeling that that you're on the right track. Your journey has legs and that your long-term vision will come true.
Yeah, and when your products find the right people,
Mm.
then they can't celebrate them enough, and they will
It-
share word of mouth, and that's has a journey and a progress of all of its own, which is really powerful.
yeah, it's just amazing when you hear feedback and and it's so important to go in front of customers and speak to your customers to find out, why they're championing you, why do they love your products, and how can you make them, if they're your customers, what more can you do for them? And that they will provide you so much more feedback than your friends and family. They are parting with their money to support you, and you need to understand why they do that.
Yeah, and them telling you why they love your product more
Mm.
than something
Some
else. What is it
else,
that's unique?
or what is the pain point that your product is solving for them.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Now, how do you personally make it work as a woman in business? And what change would you like to see for more inclusion of Muslim women in business?
As a woman in business, I mean, I've been in business for a very, very long time and worked in the corporate world. And I just make it my own, to say that I've got a place at the table. I'm entitled to sit at this table, and there's no reason for me not to be able to put a stay at this table. Yes, there are stereotypes and there's biases, but you just have to stay strong and stand your own. And it's not to be a man or to act like a man that you say okay thing, but like that we're entitled to act as women and to have our place at the table. And this is what, I've always stood my ground, but as who I am. And I think that's really, really important. And it's creating those responsibilities that, you do have other responsibilities, that I have to have a work-life balance, and just to like represent what, the new leadership represents, that there are women in higher roles in business. And the change that I like to see for Muslim women is that people need to recognize that, Muslim women come in all shapes and sizes, and that too, that we don't all wear a headscarf, and that we need to be seen for who we are, as a person, and not always as a tick box exercise. Like the other day, I was at a book launch, and with some of my friends, because we are like a bit lighter skinned than others. It's like, okay, we don't tick certain boxes, and that we kind of get missed in between, whereas we get overlooked about the biases that we receive as Muslim women, just because obviously we don't wear a headscarf, or we don't conform to those norms, but also that we do look the way we do.
Yeah, so the stereotyping is unhelpful, and it doesn't help all women in particular demographics actually have their voice heard, in terms of, sometimes it's more unhelpful than helpful, is what you're saying by the sounds of it. And I love that you said, that you have always stood your ground and taken your space at the table, even when that isn't always easy to do.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, in my previous position, there was a range of like 3-4 years that I was the only female at obviously the board level. And, I had to stand there, and I had to, obviously sitting there making my voice heard to say, I'm entitled to be here, and, I'm here to stay, and I'm not going to leave.
Amazing. And would you have any advice for women who struggle to do that?
I think you need to work out your values and know your self-worth and your value, your own value, and to say that I am worthy. You've worked so hard, you've studied. I'm sure your parents and your family have sacrificed a lot for you to be in that position, and you owe it to them and to the future generation to hold your own, to be and to keep that place at the table.
Yeah, and I think what's really important that you said there, Nadia, is your values in terms of knowing what it is that you stand for before you then go and stand for it. And that's a really great place to start, because sometimes if we're not stepping up or taking that space, it may be because we're not knowing exactly what it is that we're standing for. So
Mm.
that's a really good point to take a step back, check in with your values, and then lead forward with them.
Yeah, and then just to add like one thing, like one personal thing, I remember being in my previous role and thinking, if I did this role, I was like, my dad would kill me if he saw me do this right now, because, or my dad would disapprove. And not, my dad's an amazing, amazing dad, but just that thought of like, he worked so hard to put us through education, to educate us, to make us really strong women, that doing something that wouldn't like conform to that would be like a disappointment in myself and to him if he saw
Mm.
that. Yeah.
Yeah, because it was something that wasn't in alignment with your values. And
Yes.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. And it's so true. We do really have to stay true to what's important to us. Now, you said Ambora still has a long journey to go, lots of places to be, and a lot of dishes to share. What's inspiring you for 2024, and where can we find you?
So for 2024, we are expanding a bit more into Europe. We're adding a couple of more products to the product range, because the aim of Ambora is to be the go-to Moroccan food brand. So whenever you think of Moroccan food or you want to cook Moroccan food, Ambora wants to be the destination for that. And you can find us online on Amazon, in Selfridges, and in some independents across the UK.
Amazing. Thank you so much for being with us on She Rebel Radio, Nadia.
Thank you so much for having me.
You've been listening to She Rebel Radio. We thank you for listening and thank our headline partners NatWest for sponsoring this series. If this episode has inspired you, please pass it on and share with at least one other incredible woman, and don't forget to hit subscribe and leave us a review. You can find out more about me and my work at lulumins.com or on most social media platforms.